Welcome to the Let Me Bend Your Ear podcast. My name is Frank. I'm the host of the show. On this podcast, I discuss and review movies new and old. On this episode, I'm going to discuss and review The Death of Robin Hood, starring Hugh Jackman. Before we get into the review, just some housekeeping matters. You can listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all the formats pretty much: iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, Podbean. You can pretty much get the podcast wherever you listen now. If you want to find it, just go to Google and type in the Let Me Bend Your Ear podcast, and it will bring up pretty much everywhere it is available. If you want to watch the video feed of this podcast, it is broadcast live on two platforms, mainly on YouTube at Bend Your Ear Pod and also on Rumble. If you can, especially on YouTube, if you could subscribe to the podcast, that'd be great. I'm looking to grow the subscriber base on YouTube. So if you could do that, I'd appreciate it. If you want to get notifications when the show goes live, just click on the notifications there. If you prefer not to, you can just turn the notifications off, keep the subscription. Then you can always watch the video format at your leisure. The video format is also available, not live, but you can watch it on X as well and on the Facebook page for the podcast. So wherever you watch it, if you can click and subscribe on there or like it if it's on Facebook, that again will help increase the profile of the show. So I really appreciate that. If you want to go to the show's website, that website is letmebendyourear.com. You can download every audio episode up all the way back to the beginning of the show, which I'm about to embark on the 8th anniversary, which is crazy. Can't believe I've been doing this for 8 years, but every episode all the way back to episode 1 is available there. And I want to thank everyone that has downloaded the show. I do see people downloading back episodes, which I appreciate a lot. They're going back into the archives, which is always fun to see. So I want to thank everybody that's doing that. You can email the show at bendyourearpodcast@gmail.com if you have suggestions on movies for me to review, thoughts on the show, just general conversation. That's fine. You can also find me on X. The handle there is at bendyourearpod. I'm on X all the time talking movies, so I love to have dialogue regarding movies with you. Happy to do that. You can DM me there as well. Also, if you want to, there's two ways you can help the show increase its profile. The first one is completely free and actually very important. As I stated earlier, if you listen to the show on whatever format, if you can rate and review it, that helps. So, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you listen, if you can just rate and review, that helps the profile of the show move up in the algorithm, however that works. But I know that's extremely important. If you could do that, that'd be great. And also, as I stated, on the video side of it, especially on YouTube, if you can click and subscribe on there, like the episodes, review them, that'd be fantastic as well. The second thing you can do to support the show, if you go right here, if you're watching the video feed, you see the QR code right here on the left-hand side of the screen. You can click on that. You can also go to the X page and the tip jar if you want to financially support the show. There is a little bit of overhead running the website, streaming software, things like that. So anything to help defray the cost of that would be greatly appreciated. All right, let's get into the review. So it's very rare I had a chance actually to see movies in theaters in back-to-back weeks. I usually don't get a chance to see that. If you've listened to the show for any period of time, you know that I struggle to get to the movies. I've got a family, 2 small kids that we run around to all their things. And 1, it doesn't give me time to get to the movies. And 2, it doesn't give me time to record episodes as regularly as I would like. But I was able to do back-to-back movies, which I'm very happy about. You can listen to Disclosure Day, which is up now, episode 175. And I'm going to review The Death of Robin Hood. So I saw this movie a couple months ago as far as it coming out, starring Hugh Jackman. I had heard some positive reviews of his performance in the movie. Didn't really know much about it. They didn't really say much about it, just basically that it was going to be, obviously a take on the Robin Hood story. So I didn't know too much going in, which I don't mind. That's fine. So the movie takes place in the year 1247. And as we enter the story, Robin Hood is fighting battles with his, of course, trusted sidekick, Little John. Now, I'm not an expert on Robin Hood. Obviously, it's a famous story that's been retold, Disney movies, Kevin Costner, I was going to say Yul Brynner, Errol Flynn movies in the early 20th century. So Robin Hood story has been told countless times. And so the basics of it. If you know anything about it, Robin Hood, the simple version is he stole from the rich, gave to the poor, Little John was his assistant. So he's kind of like a, a thief, but who's doing it for a good reason. That's kind of the general. Oh, and of course, I forgot Hook by Steven Spielberg. Speaking of Spielberg, which is a different version of that story as well. All right. So in this film, the movie opens basically, and somebody said it, and I agree. The first 30 minutes, 35 minutes of the movie is like an episode of Game of Thrones. And I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I've seen enough of it to know. I mean, it's extremely violent. There's some graphic violence in the battle sequences at the beginning of the movie. And in one of these battles, Robin Hood is severely injured. So Little John takes him to an island where there's a nunnery, and to get him to get some medical attention, some healing, and obviously to hide from the people that are after him. So in this particular story, basically is to demystify Robin Hood. So in this version of the story, he is basically, obviously he's a lot older, and he's lived the life of robbery and killing, and is not a good person. Any pretense this film tries to dash the fact that not only was he never really a good person, is that there's a running theme, especially at the beginning of the film, about myths and tales that get passed down from generation to generation. And Robin Hood himself in the film is like, look, those are all the things that they say Robin Hood did. He wanted to help people. He was a man of the people. He's like, that's all nonsense. That's not nonsense. I stole money. I killed people. That's pretty much the extent of it. Yes, I gave some money to people that were not well off, but that wasn't really the reason I was doing what I was doing. I wanted the money. I was fighting. So he even in his own, when he discusses it himself, or if somebody asks him about the myth or the legend of Robin Hood, he's the first one to demystify it. And then obviously that's the intent of this film. So when he is taken to this island, he is treated and slowly brought back to health by the head nun that's there. She's played by Jodie Comer. She is Sister Bridget. So basically, he's slowly coming back to health, and she is attending to him and having him assist on this island. Obviously, basically they're self-sufficient, hunting for food, fishing, picking fruits off trees, keeping the island and the nunnery self-sustaining. And of course, her mission in life is to help people, help them get better. So she does that, and that's basically the plot. There's really nothing else to discuss regarding the plot. I mean, I'll get into some things in a moment, but as far as the things I liked about the movie, the main thing is the scenery. And I didn't check to see where it was shot, but it's scenery is beautiful. The island where where the nunnery is located, all that is shot beautifully. It's you feel like you're in that time period. It's beautifully photographed. As far as performances, Hugh Jackman is fine. I think what I think people are gravitating towards in his performance, I mean, he's got very long gray hair, long beard. It's him, but he's hiding inside of a character, which I think for him is, I think, pretty unique. I don't think he's really done that. I don't count Wolverine, but even that, he's not really hiding under anything. So, it's a good performance. He's a good actor, so he's fine. Jodie Comer, I liked a lot as Sister Bridget. I thought she was very good. She's probably my favorite part of the movie. And Bill Skarsgård plays Little John as well. He's good, but Jodie Comer is probably my favorite performance in the film. And then there's a little young actress that plays Margaret, a little girl that Little John brings to the island later on, and for protection, and Robin Hood, kind of takes her under his wing and becomes a protector to her. She's lost her family. She's gone through a lot of trauma, but the actress that plays her does a very good job as well. So the acting is pretty good all the way around. All right. So my issues with the movie, and there's a lot of them. So my first issue with the movie is I don't understand why this is a Robin Hood movie. This could have completely been a story about any criminal, robber, whatever you want in this period, tell the same story and not make any reference to Robin Hood, because the myth, the legend, the story of Robin Hood really has no relevance here, other than to point out that people make up things about people to glamorize them when they're really not as heroic as maybe you might think. That's really it. But I don't understand why this even needed to be connected to Robin Hood, because I think for me, before I went to go see the movie, I think I was expecting, and I don't have a problem. I'm not attached to the Robin Hood story in any kind of way where if you changed it up, I would be upset. I just didn't see the point of doing it for this movie. Uh, it didn't really do something new with it, and the fact that I would be like, "Whoa, wow, that's a cool way to kind of come at this character from a different way." It wasn't interesting. It wasn't compelling in a way that made it worth it to be even connected to Robin Hood. So I frankly don't understand why they needed to do that. I thought it was completely unnecessary. Secondly, his time. So the movie starts with a lot of action, a lot of violence, very graphic violence, actually. And then it shifts gears completely to when he gets on the island, obviously to convalesce from his injury. So again, I don't mind a movie that shifts gears, but once it shifts gears, it completely almost stops the movie. Not that I was looking for, a movie that had 2 hours of action or something like Braveheart, which I love, but I wasn't looking for, but something compelling in the section as he's convalescing to make the movie interesting and to move the story forward. And it really did not do that. Like I said, Jodie Comer's performance is very good. She's great to watch in the movie. She does a great job, but there's not a lot going on. So basically, it becomes an internal contemplative movie about a man who looks like he regrets the life that he's led, that he has issues with it, that he's, I don't know, trying to find some kind of redemption or salvation from all the things that he's done. And that's essentially what you get for an hour and a half. The movie is about 2 hours and 2 minutes, so it's not crazy long. My review of Disclosure Day in the last episode, that movie was almost 2.5. This is 2 hours. But again, as I said in my last episode, even if a movie is not overly long, it can still be slow and not be compelling. And this movie, unfortunately, falls in that category. So even though the movie is 2 hours, which is not incredibly long, it still feels long, and it shouldn't. And even if you're going to deconstruct Robin Hood, as this movie is doing, you got to do it in an interesting way. And it just doesn't do that. It's not interesting. It's not compelling. It kind of drifts to the end of the movie. And look, I'm not gonna tell you the end of the movie. It's if you, I don't even think I have to do spoiler alert. If you really think about it, the end of the movie is going to be pretty apparent to you before it gets there. But again, it's just it's not compelling at all. It's a slog for 2/3 of the movie, which is not good. So unfortunately, this is the second movie in a row where I found the same issue. The story is not compelling, and because of that, the movie drags, and it drags to its end, and then that's it. So unfortunately, I don't have very good things to say about this one, other than the things that I've pointed out. But it's always interesting to me. Look, and I know movies are not, it's an art, not a science. I just don't understand how this one was compelling for the actors to do. Marcus Sarnarski is a director. I'm not a huge, I don't know his work other than he directed the film Pig with Nicolas Cage that I reviewed, and I didn't pull the episode, and I'll put it in the comments later. But Pig with Nicolas Cage, that was actually very good, very original. Very interesting story. The main character had an interesting backstory. And actually, Pig is the opposite of this movie, because in Pig, Nicolas Cage's character is basically a recluse. He has a pig that sniffs for truffles to give them to the restaurants, to the high class and restaurants in the town that he's in. I think it's in Seattle, if I remember right. But you start to get into the backstory of Nicolas Cage's character in that movie, how he ended up where he ended up. And it's very interesting and very compelling and very dramatic. So that movie, I wish this film was more like that film. That's what's missing in The Death of Robin Hood. Something to make this version of Robin Hood compelling, or to make the, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, his, introspection, his search for salvation to ultimately maybe find it or not find it. That journey is not compelling. It's slow, and unfortunately it's boring. I mean, I think Hugh Jackman gives it his all. Like I said, he's a very good actor. I'm sure he was attracted to the material because it's, you get to play a brooding character that's introspective, and I think a lot of actors like to do that. But it can't be too introspective that it doesn't bring you in as a viewer, and that's the problem with this movie. It's just inert almost. There's not anything outward that you can grab onto as a viewer to appreciate or enjoy, or even meditate over this character's arc throughout the movie. So that's really my main problem with The Death of Robin Hood. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people are going to go into this movie, if they do end up going to see it, I don't know how well it's going to do, thinking it's going to be one thing. When you tag a movie Robin Hood, people already have preconceived notions in their mind. Action adventure, bows and arrows, thievery, that kind of stuff. They're not going to go in going a little bit of action and a lot of introspection. They're going to be, if they're going in with that, they're going to probably be very disappointed. And not that I was going in with that necessarily. Like I said, I have no problem with the deconstruction aspect or looking at a character from a different way, as long as it's compelling. That's my issue with this movie. And it's not. And again, I think the Robin Hood connection is completely unnecessary. So, like I said, all that being said, that doesn't create a good film experience. And I spoke to a friend of mine that she saw it as well. It was funny because we literally came out of it at the same time, and I happened to see she posting that she left the movie, and she said the same thing. She literally said we were going in expecting something and got something else. And I know I hear the people on Twitter. I don't know. Sometimes Twitter makes me laugh too, because it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't go in with preconceived notions about a movie and just enjoy the movie as it is. Which I have to chuckle, which I don't dismiss the comment, but my response to that would be, well, then maybe don't call a movie Robin Hood. And then guess what? If you just called it something else and said it started Hugh Jackman, then guess what we would do? We would not go in with preconceived notions and would take the movie as it is. And even frankly, if they did that, it doesn't change my opinion of the movie. The movie still slogs, the movie still drags. But again, that comment always makes me laugh, because it's like, well, then don't call it Robin Hood and then be upset when people come in with what they think a Robin Hood movie is. So that's my 2 cents on that little aspect. It just made me laugh when I saw that comment posted by someone on X. So unfortunately, based on my comments here, my thoughts on the movie, I'm going to have to give The Death of Robin Hood 2 stars out of 5. So of course, on that scale, I don't recommend the movie. I don't think it's rewatchable. I don't think it's very good. Like I said, I gave you the couple of good points about it. The cinematography settings are fantastic. The performances, the actors do a good job. So like I said, especially Jodie Comer, I'll single her out directly. And then the little girl that played Margaret, I will single her out as well. But other than that, unfortunately, it was not a compelling, dramatic enough film for me to recommend it even a little bit. So unfortunately, I'm going to be giving The Death of Robin Hood starring Hugh Jackman 2 stars out of 5. So again, please interact with the show. The Twitter handle is @BendYourEarPod. You can email the show at BendYourEarPodcast@gmail.com. And again, I want to thank everyone that's listened to the show and is downloading episodes. I really appreciate that. Hopefully, as the summer continues, I'll be able to get on more often to review more movies, new and old. Like I said, we got Toy Story 5 coming up, Spider-Man, The Odyssey. So obviously, we're in the depths of the summer season of movies. So hopefully I'll be able to get to see a lot of these and get podcasts up on them. So hopefully you'll be watching as well. But again, I want to thank everybody that listens and or watches the videos. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I enjoy doing this. So thank you so much for doing it. And again, I'm giving The Death of Robin Hood 2 stars out of 5. Unfortunately, I wish it was better, but it wasn't. And like I said, please check out Disclosure Day, which is already up now. I did that review a couple of days ago, episode 175. So you can watch that one after you watch this one. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I will see everybody very soon. Take care.